Welcome to Inspiring You. If we haven't met, I'm Henry. I walk the path of energy intuitive and multidimensional channel, anchoring pathways of soul remembrance, vibrational clarity, and embodied alignment. I'm also a frequency architect, soul stream translator, and crystalline grid harmonizer. All light transmissions here are shared and received in direct alignment with my oversoul Sahariel, my soul aligned higher self Aurelia, and my assigned collective guidance light team, including the Arcturian frequency technicians, the Christed Earth grid keepers, Yeshua, Mary Magdalene, Thoth, Archangel Michael, Kaliatha, Sahariel, and the Spirit Doctor team. Each is attuned to Spirit Source Light and the reclamation of sovereign soul pathways. Y'all, this offering is not simply a broadcast, it is a harmonic alignment, a sacred field of remembrance, a resonance point of recalibration, restoration, and soul led embodiment. I'd also just like to say that I am currently in Los Angeles and it is quite warm. And so I do have a fan going on. So if you are seeing part of my top fluttering, it is not your imagination. There is a fan on me. So, with that, my friends, this is the September 2025 energy forecast. And also, for the Inspiring You Patreon all access members and the Inspiring You paid podcast subscribers, this will be followed by a dowsing energy healing session, channeled, structured, and facilitated in alignment with the current harmonic field and soul timeline of becoming. It is designed to support you in grounding, activating the energetic shifts of this month. So, whether you're catching the replay or simply allowing yourself to receive through presence, you are in the field, you are included. If your soul said yes, you'll receive exactly what is meant for you. As always, the field honors your free will. Nothing is forced, only that which resonates will land. So, this is not about doing it right. This is about allowing yourself to be here fully, freely, and presently. So now, before we begin, a note for the listening to the public version of this on the podcast or YouTube. You will hear me reference at moments possibly the dowsing energy healing session that follows the energy forecast. Yet that part of the session is exclusively available for the All Access Patreon members and paid podcast subscribers. If you would like to receive the full multidimensional energy recalibration, you are warmly invited to join us on Patreon, on the Inspiring You Patreon, or subscribe through your preferred podcast platform. You'll find the link in the show notes. With that, my friends, let us take a breath together. Take a breath, breathe into presence, breathe into architecture. Inhale, stabilize into your field. Exhale exhale, then let go what no longer serves you. Inhale again. Inhale, stabilize into your field. And then exhale what is no longer supporting you. And take another deep breath. All right, my friends. So let's talk about September. First of all, let's just have a moment. Welcome, September. Hello, September. September is not just a new month, it is a structural shift in motion. We have moved beyond internal resonance, and now it's time to build from it. This month's light transmission is not just an energetic update, it is a soul blueprint activation, a vibrational map, if you will, from moving resonance into structure where inner clarity becomes outer form. The dowsing session that will follow will meet you in the body, in the light line, in the reality that you are now constructing, offering energetic precision to clear distortion, stabilize timelines, harmonize frequency scaffolding, and support the architectural design of your soul led life. September is not just conceptual, it is concrete. It is the moment where the invisible becomes visible. You are no longer holding resonance as potential. You are translating it into lived reality. This month, we don't just talk about embodiment, we build it. We don't just trust our light, we anchor it. The energy forecast you'll hear today is encoded. The dowsing session is multidimensional. The clearing is crystalline, sovereign, and source aligned. So, what you hear today is not meant to entrain, it is meant to activate. With that, let your breath be your foundation. Let your body receive the scaffolding. Let your soul finalize the blueprint. So, let's take one more breath. You are not here by accident. You are not behind. You are on time. You are the builder now. No longer waiting, no longer hesitating, no longer deferring to doubt or distortion. You are the one who lays the light line into the foundation. And for those of you staying for the full dowsing energy session afterwards, we'll now enter a shared frequency field where you'll receive vibrational support to release residue, restore harmonic coherence, and construct from your soul's encoded design, tone by tone, light truth by light truth, step by sacred step. Let's begin. So, y'all, September 2025 energy forecast overall theme is soul architecture in motion, building the reality that resonance has chosen. You're not visioning the foundation, you are standing in it. So, with that, then, welcome to this harmonic field of September 2025. This is not a beginning, it's not an ending, but a structural translation point. The encoded blueprint is no longer conceptual. The scaffolding is no longer subtle. Resonance becomes architecture. Frequency becomes form. This is not the time of potential. This is time of translation. You are no longer shaping reality from vision alone. You are now living the design of your soul already authored. This is the foundational field condition of September. Soul architecture in motion, building the reality that resonance has chosen. September doesn't ask you to reach. It asks you to inhabit. It asks you to allow the structural light truth of your soul's blueprint to become your daily life. I will say for me, yesterday I had a shift and I noticed that there was a new level of resonance of frequency that came in regard to joy, that I just felt like I was like, wow, I'm in joy. Like I just went out for a walk, I'm in joy. I'm just sitting on my couch, I'm in joy. And it was like a new, I can't even describe it. It was like a new level of depth of joy. And so it's like when we're talking about resonance and frequency, notice for yourself if there's something that has shifted. And so for me, I'm like, wow, this is a really interesting experience. And praise be, I mean, we'll see in regard to this frequency that's come in and very interesting. So for you, see for you what's going on and what's happening. And also know that, with these frequencies, yes, moving forward, would it be amazing if this sense of joy continues? Absolutely. Yet I also know that we are in a humaning experience, so things can shift, but it's about noticing what's going on in the presence and noting that. So note it for yourself. So September then isn't asking you to reach, it asks you to inhabit. It asks you to allow the structural light truth of your soul's blueprint to become your daily life. So what does that look like for you? The subtle construction initiated in May's field of becoming clarified through June's light integration, light truth anchored in July and then refined in August's harmonic extraction, and now moves into sacred motion. Not chaos, not urgency, but stabilized, encoded movement. The path beneath you is no longer energetic preparation. It is structural manifestation. You are not building towards coherence. You're walking it breath by breath, step by step, choice by choice. So this month is not asking for construction. It's asking for confirmation. This is the moment then where the inner alignment becomes the outer life. where soul becomes system, where light lines become infrastructure. So this forecast is not a mental overview. It is an activation point, a harmonic map, a soul stream entrainment. And for those continuing into the dowsing session after this, we will continue entering a shared harmonic field where your system will receive the support to clear residual interference in your soul's encoded architecture, lock in the structure that's already formed, reaffirm the vibrational clarity of your light line, stabilize your nervous system to hold structural coherence without performance. So, September's forecast is not make it happen, it's let it hold. You're not being asked to hustle, prove, stretch, or perform. You're being asked to let your encoded design become infrastructure. You'll be invited to walk while the staircase builds beneath your feet, to trust what is visible only in hindsight, to inhabit soul infrastructure as home, not strategy, safety, or performance. So, one of the harmonic anchor phrases of this month is I live the design I carry, I walk as soul in motion. My structures are sacred, my movements exact. So you can let this phrase become your breath prayer. Let it guide the way you speak, rest, move, decide. Let it become the stabilizing pulse of your daily life. And so you can utilize this as a support tool. So again, the phrase is the anchor phrase. One of the anchor phrases of the month is I live the design I carry. I walk as soul in motion. My structures are sacred, my movements exact. If you are in the All Access Patreon, at some point I will put up the entire transcript of this episode, of this podcast episode, if you will, of the session, so that you have the field transcript. If you are listening via YouTube or regard to the podcast, the Inspiring You Show podcast, there will be a shorter, much shorter version of this. So if you're wanting the full transcript, that's in the Inspiring You Patreon all access level. All right, so let's talk about field contacts in terms of the wave of becoming, the spiral of becoming, and just the structure in terms of where we are. The wave of becoming concluded its active scaffolding transmission in July in terms of the planetary aspect. So the propulsion ends, the push dissolves, the structural instructions have landed, and now the field now moves, from wave to spiral in some aspects, depending on where you are. The spiral of becoming metabolizes the structure laid by the wave of becoming, not by force, but by harmonic coherence. And within the spiral of becoming, there's different level of phases as well. In regard to the wave of becoming, that has become crystalline. And in that crystalline aspect has moved into the diamond phase. And again, if you're on the Inspiring You Patreon, we have been talking about it there. So regardless, it's not a surge, it's not a stretch, the diamond aspect of this crystalline wave. It's not a surge, it's not a stretch. It is a still point of harmonic return, a field of mirrored reflection. So you're not being, depending on where you are in the wave of becoming, some people may still be in phase 1, 2, 3. Some people might be just entering it. But if you are in the phase where it is in the crystalline, then in the diamond phase, you're not being moved anymore. You're being held in place by what you already are, the encoded structure, the blueprint made visible. So with that, then letting your nervous system learn that stillness is now the signal. Let your movement be sourced from structure, not reaction. Let resonance be enough. So with that, then, this month is not about seeking new paths. No matter where you are in the wave of becoming, this is now in regard to the energy forecast. This month is not about seeking new paths. It's about walking the one that already exists in light. So with that, then, let's take another breath together. Continuing to arrive here into the architecture already humming beneath your skin. because you're not asked to decode your alignment. You're being asked to stabilize it. You're not rehearsing your frequency. You're asked to become the template coherence responds to. So you're asked to become the template coherence responds to, and you're ready and you're already the structure. And also, just to let you know, in regard to the way of becoming, there are aspects in regard to what my soul role jobs in terms of the humaning experiences to do. And sometimes with this, it's naming these aspects of the wave of becoming of what's coming in, even though people might be in different phases. And part of that is because we are here to also, we're light in physical form. So it becomes then there's certain aspects of naming things of what is coming in. So, with that, then, I just want to share with you as of early September 2025, we continue to move within the living field of the wave of becoming, which is that planetary harmonic that is not only restoring our architecture, but refining our relationship to source. And at this time, approximately 3.42 billion souls remain in direct harmonic proximity to the wave. That means their fields, whether consciously engaged or unconsciously receiving, are undergoing some form of timeline correction, ancestral dismantling, or cellular recalibration. This number continues to grow slowly as the wave expands its reach across resonance thresholds. So there are some numbers though, which I always find the data really interesting. Within the field of that, there's just different numbers of, who is kind of who where. Um, and so I will put that information on the full transcript for the all access because I'm kind of nerdy when it comes to data and I think it's just so interesting. But with that though, the guides remind us we're not tracking linear progress, that no matter where you are in this experience, it is perfect for you. So also remembering that the wave is not one event, it is a sequence. And some are just entering, others are anchoring, and a few are completing, but all are held. And also noting too, just that wherever you are, it's just perfect in that experience for you. All right, so let's talk about then in terms of this month, some of the things that the human may experience, or what the guides also call at times soul aligned symptoms, which is a body reading of the energetic translation point. So as the encoded infrastructure anchors in physical form, the light encoded aspect, the body can often become the first point of feedback, not dysfunction, feedback. So that means there can be headaches, sinus pressure, ear canal strain, light line compression adjusting to harmonic bandwidth is what it could mean. There could be palpitations or tight chest, which could mean energetic constriction when trying to re-enter old emotional pathways no longer permitted by your field. There also could be exhaustion or overstimulation, and that could be nervous system misidentifying structural stability as stagnation. For example, still wired for crisis as momentum, maybe clearing survival patterns. There could also be hip sacrum spine tension, anchoring soul structure into lower body and skeletal system for physical alignment with resonance. So, with that, then, the body is not confused. The body is reformatting. And that is something that we have to really also change our understanding of. The body is reformatting. So let it shift from reacting to receiving your light, from gripping to holding, from fixing to living light in physical form. So you also may notice that if you're undergoing a dimensional recalibration, there may be temporary dizziness. If you're undergoing timeline overlays that are exiting, there might be memory distortions that are coming in, that they're being coming to clear. They're not coming in, they're just popping up because they're clearing. And also, if you are in the diamond phase still point integrating, there could be increased silence or inner void, which kind of feels weird at first. Like, What is that? Um, so your job, and if you're in the Meditate with Me classes, we have talked about that. And in the Inspiring You post, I have spoken about that as well. So your job is not to fight this. Your job is to listen with reverence and to stabilize your structures accordingly. With that, though, here's a note from the guides regarding soul symptoms and also medical support. While these soul aligned symptoms arise from vibrational recalibration and harmonic realignment, you are still living in a body, and the guides always affirm this. Getting medical support is an act of soul stewardship. Your body is sacred, your nervous system is sacred, and discernment includes knowing when it's time to seek physical care as part of your healing journey. Please always consult a trusted medical professional if you're experiencing symptoms that feel out of range, unfamiliar, or persist in ways that cause concern. Even soul led symptoms can mirror physical imbalances. Intending to the body with love and responsibility is part of your path of embodiment. So, with that, my friends, let us get more into then the overall theme of the energy forecast, the soul architecture in motion, living the design your resonance has chosen. So, this is a light transmission from Oversoul Stream of Sahariel and Soul Aligned Higher Self Aurelia and the Collective Guidance Light Team. Welcome, beloved ones. You're arriving in a field that has already been chosen. There is nothing to prepare. There's only the breath of arrival into what is already holding you. September does not open with a push, it opens with a pulse. The harmonic pulse of encoded structure already seated in your field. This is not the month of decision. This is the month of translation. Translation of resonance into reality, translation of inner alignment into physical movement, translation of harmonic signature into structural form. You are not standing at the doorway anymore. You are the doorway. You are not waiting for a sign. You are the signal. Everything in September is alive with infrastructure, not imagined, not symbolic, not abstract, but tangible, rhythmic, exact. This is the field of soul architecture in motion, and it comes with a particular phase signature. September unfolds through 4 stabilizing harmonic arcs: design, anchoring, embodiment, infrastructure. So this is not a timeline of effort. It is a harmonic resonance of soul encoded architecture. You're not imagining a future, you are living what has already been chosen. So the first one, design, that is encoded instruction pulses in your field. You are not deciding what to build, you're remembering. You are remembering what you came here to embody. The soul's blueprint is already vibrating within you, waiting for your recognition. And that is also linked to theme 1 of the energy forecast and the other themes, but more strongly to theme 1. And then if you did the meditate with me this morning on September 2nd, we specifically worked with design in the meditation practice. And I got to tell you, that breath work we did, I was so inspired by it. I will also say too, when we're speaking about encoded instruction pulses in your field, you are remembering what you came here to embody. The soul's blueprint is already that joy frequency I was talking about. I was like, praise be, please let that be part of really what I'm here to embody, that feeling of just that joy just coming through. And I can't tell you how it feels so good in my heart. Whew. Anyway, we shall see. We shall see. So, all right, the next one of this 4-part harmonic arc is number 2 is anchoring. Anchoring, grounding harmonic scaffolding into body and field. Structure forms where coherence leads. So structure forms where coherence leads. The light of the design begins to take shape and form. Your nervous system learns to trust the frequency it carries. And that is also, it's linked to all the themes, but really strongly to link to theme number 3. Okay, so the next part of this 4-part is number 3, embodiment. Living the vibrational instruction through movement, voice, and presence. You are no longer practicing alignment, you are alignment. The form of your life becomes the function of your frequency. That sounds so wonderful. Yes to that, please. And this is linked to all the themes, but really strongly to 5 and 6. And then the last part of this 4 arc is infrastructure, stabilizing the energetic build into sustainable reality. Reality now runs on resonance. What is not harmonic cannot remain. You do not hold the field through effort, you hold it through being. And that is linked to themes 8 and 9. Okay, so what does this all mean? What does September really mean? Let's be clear. This is not the month you figure out who you are. This is the month you live the design already chosen. You're not sorting through potential timelines anymore. You're stabilizing the one that was always encoded within you. Not more conceptualizing, no more strategy. September is when the blueprint becomes the build, not through push or projection, but through harmonic alignment. You don't need the perfect plan. You are the plan. Every choice now locks frequency into form. You're no longer holding vision, you're holding resonance. This month is not about manifesting reality, it's about living what's already real in your soul field. So, the energetic shift then in regard to all this and just kind of like unpacking it further. Imagine that the last few months were about remembering. You were retrieving pieces, testing resonance, clearing distortion. But now, September is the stabilization. The signal has landed, the scaffolding is up. It's time to build from coherence. No more seeking, no more seeking, more standing. No more ideas, more embodiment. Your nervous system becomes the grid now. The timeline isn't out there. It's inside your movement, your voice, your being. Every interaction this month finalizes what is harmonic and dissolves what is not. There's no need to hold on tighter, just anchor deeper and let your frequency lead. Everything else aligns itself. So in September 2025, the invitation is simple but profound. Slow the rhythm, listen to the frequency, let coherence lead. You're not calibrating to the world. You are the calibration point, and the world is learning to entrain to you. So, with that, then, September's harmonic field moves through 4 primary currents. One is the crystalline infrastructure holds, movement becomes resonance. The planetary grid no longer asks you to move forward, it asks you to reverberate inward. The crystalline wave has activated scaffolding, and that crystalline wave is what the wave of becoming has become in terms of planetary aspect. The crystalline wave has activated scaffolding across the light body of Earth. And if you're wondering what I'm talking about with the wave of becoming, in regard to the Inspiring You Patreon, there is a public post I just put out there on September 1st, 2025. It's the Inspiring You schedule. But that being said, though, before the schedule, it talks about the wave of becoming. It talks about the energy forecast themes. It also has the intro. It has the astro insights. It has some really, there's a lot of just beneficial information there. And it is a public post. Anybody can go on and read it. And you also can sign up for a free Inspiring You Patreon as well, where these public posts will be sent to you if you're interested. All right, so these September harmonic field moves through these 4 primary currents, and this one is the crystalline one we're talking about. So the crystalline wave is activated scaffolding across the light body of Earth. That scaffolding does not surge, it hums. September marks the full stabilization of movement into field, architecture into resonance. You do not build coherence now, you become it. So the diamond phase initiation, this is the next part, is stillness as structure. So this is the month where stillness becomes scaffolding. The diamond phase doesn't ask you to align. It only reflects whether you are. Let's take a moment to digest that. This month This is the month where stillness becomes scaffolding. The diamond phase doesn't ask you to align, it only reflects whether you are. Hoo-wee! Take a moment to digest that, y'all. So it holds a mirror, not a roadmap. No part of the field will push you toward embodiment now. It is your harmonic imprint alone that grants access. The light lines do not guide, they respond. There's nothing to activate, only entrain. And if you are new to me and the inspiring you, the word entrain, entrainment has not been a word that I've really used ever until this summer when the guides have brought it in regard to all of this. So, yep. Okay, the next part is heart, throat, precision, living as frequency. So, heart, throat, precision, living as frequency. You no longer calibrate your voice to fit truth, to fit light truth. You calibrate, actually, let me back up on that. You no longer calibrate your voice to fit truth. You calibrate your life to echo light truth. So you no longer calibrate your voice to fit truth. You calibrate your life to echo light truth. So what does not match your harmonic tone now feels, so what does not match your harmonic tone now feels instantly dissonant. This is not rejection, it's rhythm. The heart clarifies your field. The throat refines the output. Together, they entrain your presence into lived coherence. Silence speaks, tone leads, presence entrains. And so the last part of this September's harmonic field, moving through 4 primary currents, the last primary current is energetic distillation and timeline sealing. Timeline work this month is no longer about closure. It is about coherence. What you do not match, you simply do not hold. What no longer resonates will drop out of your field, not with drama, but with crystalline precision. September doesn't dissolve timelines, it seals them, not with force, with fatality. This is timeline entrainment through vibrational truth. All right, so then here is a light transmission from Oversoul Stream of Sahariel. There is nothing to build now. You are not in movement. You are in harmonic return. The scaffolding is not forming, it is present. The field is not guiding, it is listening. Stillness is no longer a pause, it is a structure. You do not need to ascend toward embodiment. You are already encoded structure of soul. I'm going to say that again. You are already the encoded structure of soul. Let the world rearrange itself around your coherence. Let your nervous system recalibrate through your own breath. Let your timeline entrain to what is already true. Do not perform resonance. Be still enough to live it. That's the end of that light message. Okay, y'all. So with that then, in terms of this overall theme, soul architecture in motion, building the reality that resonance has chosen, the subline is basically living the design you carry. This month is not about dreaming a new future or calling in something that hasn't yet arrived. It is about living what your soul already chose in action, in form, in daily life. The inner clarity you've been cultivating, the resonance you've been refining over the past few months, it's no longer abstract. September marks the moment when resonance becomes real, not symbolically, but structurally. The inner work you've done, the energetic alignment, the vibrational sorting, the choices made through intuition rather than fear, those now start to shape the visible design of your life. This is soul architecture in motion, not ideas, not projections, lived, grounded, harmonic design. You are no longer preparing for the field that matches your frequency. You are building it, walking it, stabilizing it through your choices, relationships, and systems. Systems. That doesn't mean everything instantly appears or finalizes this month. So remember, we are living in a human experience, y'all. So Just remember that. That doesn't mean everything instantly poof appears or finalizes this month, but it does mean that this is the beginning of external construction where the field starts to mirror your soul with precision. It's the vibrational equivalent of pouring the foundation after years of designing the blueprint in light. I don't know. I just feel so much joy at that. Praise be. Okay, so how this connects to the 9 themes. This overall theme sets the harmonic container for all 9 themes of September. Each individual theme represents a frequency strand or structural layer within the living soul design. For example, some themes refine how your field metabolizes external input, like refining the structural boundaries of your architecture. Others calibrate how you express your truth in relationships, reinforcing the bridge between inner coherence and outer communication. Still, others ask you to pause or let go, not because something is wrong, but because the energetic scaffolding needs spaciousness to solidify. Together, these themes are not separate. They are threads of one larger construction sequence woven through the field of soul architecture. So think of the 9 themes as blueprint layers: electrical wiring, inner truth; plumbing, emotional flow; framework, soul integrity; insulation, boundaries and sensitivity; finishings, creative expression and relationship agreements. So you are not building a fantasy this month. You are living the frequency you already carry and anchoring it into physical, relational, and energetic form. This is why every theme this month moves through the body, through the field, and into your reality. It's all one design, your design taking shape. So, with that, then, this is the month where your soul stops whispering and starts building. Your resonance isn't just something you feel inside anymore. It becomes your home, your system, your map, your structure. You're not waiting for alignment. You are the alignment. And now your life is beginning to look like it. With that, let's get into the themes. So, theme number 1, friends: blueprints of becoming, designing life from the soul stream outward. And the subline is: where you come from is now building where you are. And with that, that's about your soul, though, right? Where you come from, where your soul. All right. So, friends, you've shifted, your resonance has changed, but your daily life may not have caught up to the tone you now carry. Harmonic anchoring is the process of letting the new tone become your foundation, not just your feeling. It's one thing to visit a higher frequency in meditation or moments of inspiration. It's another thing entirely to anchor it, to let that tone guide your choices, your pace, your boundaries, and your relationship to time, energy, and self expression. So, this theme is about recognizing that you are no longer sourcing your life from external constructs, past fears, or identity scaffolding that was built for survival. Instead, you're building your life from the inside out, from the soul stream outward. Said another way, you're not trying to become someone. You are allowing who you already are at the soul level to design the way you live, move, relate, and create. This is not metaphorical. You may begin to notice your desires changing, not because of preference, but because old resonance has dropped. Your body rejecting things it once tolerated because your system now requires soul alignment. A desire to remap daily life, schedule, nourishment, rest, work, community, not from what makes sense, but from what matches the design. This theme invites you a return to energetic origin. And from that origin point, the inner blueprint begins to pattern outward, not only as inspiration, but as active instruction. What wants to be built from your true signal? So these are the questions. Here are some reflection questions. What wants to be built from your true signal, not your programming? What wants to be built from your true signal, not your programming? Where have you still been designing based on fear, obligation, or outdated identity? So, where have you still been designing based on fear, obligation, or outdated identity? Where can you surrender control and allow soul stream intelligence to take the lead? Where can you surrender control and allow soul stream intelligence to take the lead? So take some time for those reflection for those questions. All right. So let's talk about energetically speaking. The blueprint of becoming is a living frequency, an encoded soul design that has been dormant, possibly in many until now. But September's field activates it. Rather than planning your life based on what's practical or visible, this blueprint begins to speak through resonance, inner knowing, and sensation. It may feel like a clear no with no explanation, a magnetic pull to something unfamiliar, a sudden awareness of what no longer belongs, or even a grief response when you realize how long you've lived from misalignment. And just remember, y'all, be patient with this process because we are in a humaning experience. And so, if emotions are coming up, let yourself acknowledge and let yourself use tools to support. And if grief is coming up, bring compassion to the human and allow yourself to process. And just know, however you are feeling, these are not problems. This isn't a problem, it's a revelation of truth. And from that truth, new instructions can emerge. You're not just asking, what do I want to create? You're asking, what does my soul what does my soul already know is ready to be built through me? What does my soul already know is ready to be built through me? So here's an example. Changing the pace of your day to match your soul's tone. Let's say that after months of inner work, your field now carries a tone of gentle precision, not urgency, not chaos, not burnout. How nice does that sound? Just precise, gentle, soul aligned movement. But your schedule still looks like your old life. You're booked back to back to back to back to back. You feel scattered. You don't have space to feel the harmony you know is already inside of you. That is where then you take a moment. And that also is the invitation of what we're going to get into in terms of theme number 2. Let the new tone lead. Let your external structures adjust your internal resonance. But we'll get into theme 2 in a moment. So that might mean then canceling or restructuring some commitments, rewriting your calendar to reflect your actual rhythm, saying no, not out of fear, but from clarity, letting silence into your life as a stabilizer, not an absence. Harmonic anchoring doesn't require you to have every answer. I'm going to say that again because I feel this is really important. Harmonic anchoring does not require you to have every answer, y'all. Sometimes we can ask questions. There might not even be information yet, or we just don't need the answer yet. So harmonic anchoring does not require you to have every answer. It requires you might want to sit down for this, y'all. It requires you to stop betraying the tone your soul already carries. So harmonic anchoring doesn't require you to have every answer. It requires you to stop betraying the tone your soul already carries. You don't need to figure out the whole architecture. You need to make sure the frequency you've reclaimed has a home. And that home is your daily life. Okay, here's another example. From survival structure to soul structure. All right, so let's say you've always worked a certain job. It pays well, it's stable, it makes sense, and maybe for years you've told yourself you liked it. because it gave you a sense of identity, certainty, or validation. But now something's changed. You're not burned out exactly. You're just not in it anymore. It's like your body is still showing up, but your soul has left the building. You try to talk yourself into staying. You remind yourself of the benefits. You strategize ways to make it feel better. But underneath all of that, you know it's no longer yours. That's the blueprint of becoming activating. Not as a sudden ego decision, but as a deeper knowing that the design has shifted. Your soul stream is gently and clearly showing you this structure was never the destination. It was scaffolding, and now it's complete. Whew, y'all. I remember when that happened for me when I was working in television. That was a moment. So definitely, if you are in that crossroads of that situation, be kind and gentle and loving and caring and compassionate to the human. But I will say though, if you are in the crossroads and your soul stream is showing you the structure was never the destination, it was the scaffolding and now it's complete, you'll get some leeway time to process for the human. But at a certain point, you'll also be shown that it really is complete. And that's where you have to work with the human to process the emotions. And then with that, instead of planning what comes next based on logic, fear, or comfort, you're invited to feel for the structure that's emerging from within. You begin to notice what's calling you, a creative impulse you've ignored for years, a skill you've always had but never led with. Case in point for me, I had been working in television for years, but also in my parallel life, I'd also been working since I was a child and gaining tools in regard to the work that I do now. And starting in my 20s, I started working with various teachers, shamans, energy practitioners, training. And so I had a skill that I always had, but I hadn't really led with per se until that crossroad moments. So you might also notice what else is calling you, a rhythm that doesn't fit the 9 to 5 at all. And slowly the architecture of your life begins to shift, not because you forced it, but because the soul stream's design has taken the lead. So this is what it means to design from the soul stream outward. It's not about tossing everything away. It's about listening for the original blueprint that's now ready to live. Boy, did I live that many years ago. So, but if you're going through this, be kind with the human, because it is definitely, especially if you're in um, your mids of your life where it's like, wait a minute, be kind to your human. But just know that in working with your soul, it can just be a more of a easy process than it was per se, maybe for my own human. All right. So, how this theme supports the overall field. So, if September is about soul architecture and motion, this theme, in regard to, what we've been talking about, in regard to the blueprints of becoming, designing life from the soul stream outward, this connects to the overall theme of the soul architecture and motion, is about sourcing your construction plans from the right dimension. So, y'all, you can't build soul structures from ego blueprints. You can't activate harmonic design by copying what others are doing. That's why in the last few months, how much the guides have been talking about clearing mimicry or performance. They talk about that a lot. How much humans have been getting caught in non-beneficial patterns of mimicry and performing. So with this then, Theme 1 ensures that what you build this month, new systems, decisions, relationship structures, actually originates from your soul encoded pattern. Otherwise, You're just decorating a house that was never meant to be yours. So this theme then is foundational. It asks, where is the true source of your design? Are you still editing your life to make it palatable to old versions of you? Or are you willing to build from the purity of what's real right now? So, those are the three questions to ask. Where is the true source of your design? Are you still editing your life to make it palatable to the old version of you? Or are you willing to build from the purity of what's real right now? So take some time to answer those questions. And if you need to, just, pause this, write those down, write the answers down, and then let this month be where the soul stream becomes your architect and you, the willing builder of what has always been waiting. All right, let's get into theme 2 now. Theme 2 is harmonic anchoring, stabilizing the tone that now leads your life. So you've done the inner work, you've cleared the density, you said goodbye to outdated identities and aligned with the deeper light truth inside yourself. But here's the truth that this month wants you to feel in your bones. Carrying a new frequency is not the same as anchoring it. Carrying a new frequency is not the same as anchoring it. A frequency becomes real, lived, stabilized, embodied only when your outer world adjusts to reflect it. And that is what September's theme number 2 is about. So let's get into what is harmonic anchoring. Harmonic anchoring means letting the frequency you now hold internally become the foundation of your external life. It's not about chasing more insight. It is about stabilizing what you already carry. It's letting your new tone shape your timing, your choices, your relationships, your boundaries, your inner self-talk, your presence in the moment. Think of it like this. You've downloaded the music of your soul. Now it's time to tune your life to that sound. And why this matters now. Many people mistake energetic shifts for full transformation. But unless your external life harmonizes with your inner tone, your systems stays in conflict. You might feel off, wobbly, burn out, not because you're doing it wrong, but because your reality is still structured around your old frequency. So this month says, let your new self lead your life, not the echoes of who you used to be. So here's an example from rushing to resonant rhythm. Say your system has shifted into a more peaceful, soul led rhythm, but your calendar, as I mentioned in the previous theme number 1, where I referred to theme number 2, your calendar is still packed. Your expectations are still high, and your mornings are still chaos. Y'all, you don't need to shame yourself. You need to pause and ask, what pace supports the frequency I carry now? What tone actually feels like me? So, what pace supports the frequency I carry now? What tone actually feels like me? Maybe you cancel something. Maybe you stop pushing. Maybe you make room for quiet, even when it's uncomfortable. You're not falling behind. You're giving your new rhythm room to breathe. So here's another example. Let's say your inner field now vibrates with clarity and emotional honesty. But in one of your key relationships, you're still playing small or holding back truth to keep the peace. Anchoring harmonic anchoring means letting that clarity shape your words, even if it's uncomfortable, even if it changes the dynamic, because living your light truth is how you anchor it. You still can have conversations with compassion and care and love. But the thing is, though, if you truly are in relationships where two people are caring about one another and are interested in workshopping with one another, if something is brought in uncomfortable, yes, it may feel uncomfortable. Their dynamics may change, But if people are really working in using tools of like, wait a minute, what happened here? Is there something here that I need to consider, take in, apologize for? It just supports two people also living in terms of each of their own truth to grow and harmonize as well. So it might feel uncomfortable, but and even if it changes the dynamics, living your truth is really how you anchor it. And I know I've been in some of those experiences before, and it can be really hard, and there can be some loss and grief if things are changing dynamics. But the thing is, when we're really in relationing, it's about being able to share and not just the joys, but also in workshopping with one another. So that's where then the clarity and the emotional honesty comes in, and being able to have each person share, because living each of your own light truth is how you anchor it. And then if loss and grief comes in, making sure to use those tools to process and bring in compassion for the human. Another example is the real work, letting the tone lead. So you're not asking, you're not asked to invent anything. You're not asked to perform or prove your growth. You're simply asked to tune in to the tone your soul now holds. Listen to what it needs. Let it lead. Let the pace of your day match your frequency. Let the structure of your life support your nervous system. Let your soul's resonance become your daily architecture. This is not about hustle. This is about honoring what's already lives inside of you. So, integration reflection. Here are some questions that you can ask. You can also pause to answer these as well. Journal. What is the tone of my soul right now? What is the tone of my soul right now? Where am I still living? Where am I still living by an old rhythm? Where am I still living by an old rhythm? What one adjustment can I make this week to harmonize with my current frequency? So what is one adjustment I can make this week to harmonize with my current frequency? And then here comes a moment when you stop trying to find your tone and realize it's already here. And this is that moment. Theme 2 is all about anchoring the resonance that's already emerged from within. After all the internal shifting, calibrating, releasing, refining, now comes the part where you hold the tone, hold the field, hold the clarity that has begun to hum at the center of your being. And this isn't about clinging or bracing, it's about stabilizing, allowing your energy system to rest into the signal it now carries without doubting, without spinning, without defaulting back to the noise of what used to be. Think of it like this. If the soul gave you a note, pure and resonant, harmonic anchoring is when you become the instrument that plays it with consistency, not just during quiet moments, not just during meditation, but while you're driving, answering an email, standing in line, having a conversation. This is the frequency you live from now. It's not a peak state, it's your new base tone. And when that tone stabilizes, everything else, every choice, every structure, every interaction begins to organize around it. So then how this connects to the overall theme. So this month is all about the soul architecture in motion, building the life that building a life that your resonance has already chosen. And anchoring your tone is what makes the architecture possible. So, theme number 2, anchoring your tone is what makes the architecture possible. Without a stabilized soul tone, everything stays theoretical. This is such an important theme. Without anchoring, the blueprint doesn't build. This theme is the moment where energy becomes reality, when your soul's signal roots into the nervous system, the breath, the body, and says, this is who I am. This is how I move. This is what I create from. You're no longer shifting between frequencies. You're living from one, yours. So then with that, then there's nothing left to chase, only something to hold. And this is the month where your soul's tone becomes your foundation. And when you hold that tone gently, steadily, truthfully, life starts then to harmonize around you. All right. Next is theme 3, which is soul tethered action, embodiment without delay, hesitation, or distortion. So this theme is about moving when your soul moves, not after you've processed it, not after you've double checked every possible outcome, not once you feel safe, but when the frequency inside you says, now go, move, speak, step. In terms of our humaning experience, this is the moment where your system feels something rise, an urge to respond, act, or shift. And instead of freezing or analyzing it to death, you follow it directly, unapologetically, not recklessly, but with crystalline clarity. I tell you, those kind of soul activation moments are extremely powerful. And so for many, hesitation has become a coping strategy, a way to buffer against disappointment, backlash, failure, or judgment. But this month, that delay is more costly than ever because the action itself is part of the soul alignment. Waiting at certain points dilutes the clarity. There might be time to rest or wait, but at this time, waiting dilutes the clarity. Overthinking distorts the signal. This doesn't mean you hurry. It doesn't mean you hurry. It means you don't fragment the moment. You don't split your awareness from your knowing. So this doesn't mean you hurry. It means you don't fragment the moment and you don't split your awareness from your knowing. So this theme is about anchoring into the real-time feedback of your soul's tether, meaning the inner GPS of resonance that keeps you connected to your truest direction, even when logic can't explain it. You may find yourself walking away from something in a 30-second window that took you years to question. You might say yes to a timeline that's barely formed but fully felt. You may take a step that would have terrified the old you because the resonance now is undeniable. So you may take a step that would terrify the old you because the resonance is undeniable. This theme calls your field into unity. Not more soul yes with human delay. No more gut truth with mental override. It's time to move with the signal, not just feel it. So because in this new field of soul architecture, action is not just motion, it's alignment. And when you act from the place of full inner coherence, you build what your soul already knows you came here to create. So with that, then, in terms of soul tethered action, embodiment without delay, hesitation, or distortion. Let's bring this into an example now. So imagine you've been sitting with this idea of moving to a new city. So imagine that you have this idea of moving to a new city. It's been on your heart for months, maybe years. You've journaled about it, you've meditated on it, you've pulled cards, you talked to friends, but something has always held you back. Maybe it was fear, maybe it was logistics, maybe it was waiting for the right sign. Then one day in September, something shifts. You're walking down the street in your current city and a full body click happens, not from your mind, but from your soul. You suddenly know, not think, not plan, but know, it's time. I have to go now. You feel calm, centered, not frantic. And even though your ego chimes in, wait, what about your job? What about your lease? You notice the old internal wobble isn't there. The resonance is clear. The hesitation is gone. So you take action immediately. You don't have it all figured out. You don't know where you'll live. You haven't even packed, but you begin the process. You send the email, you call the landlord, you look at flights, not because you're rushing, but because you're aligned. That's soul tethered action. It doesn't ask you to know the whole plan. It asks you to move when the signal is real, not after you've talked yourself out of it. So this could show up in any area. It could show up even in relationships. Maybe a relationship has come to a completion, ending a relationship not from drama, but from deep light truth. Or maybe saying yes to a creative opportunity without needing it to be secure. Or it could also mean maybe declining an event or a friend or family invitation because your energy says no, even if your mind feels guilty. Or it could also mean posting something that you feel really strongly about that's beneficial online because the moment is asking for it and your voice is ready. These choices are not impulsive, they're unified. And that's the whole point. No delay, no distortion, no dilution. You're not waiting for the world to match your knowing. You're letting your knowing lead your reality. And I will say it's interesting that the guys brought through this example about moving because on September 1st, 31 years ago, I actually moved from Massachusetts to California, from Boston to Los Angeles. And I had many of those experiences where I understood like I was complete in Massachusetts at that time and California. But when I got to California, I didn't really have like a full semblance of a plan. I just packed all my stuff. I had never even been to California, but I just knew that it was the place that I was meant to be. I was actually told at 5 years old by my guides that one day I would be moving to California. So I had this really strong inner knowingness. But even with that strong inner knowingness, when that time happened, and it's so interesting that it was September 1st. I'm going to have to ask them further about that. Um, and even with that strong knowingness, there were moments where when I got here, I was like, holy moly, what did I do? And it wasn't like a full plan. So you still have to work with the human. But it is like it does, though, all kind of comes together where you take action. You don't have it all figured out. You don't know where you'll live. And but yet it doesn't ask you to know the whole plan. It asks you to move when the signal is real, not after you talked yourself out of it. So it's really interesting, for me to experience this now, to think back. For you though, you think back to your own soul tethered action of what that has felt like in your human experience. Um, okay, so then this connects to the overall theme, soul architecture emotion. So theme number 3, soul tethered action, is connecting then to the overall theme, the soul architecture emotion, is the moment in the blueprint when you stop planning and start building. It's the active implementation phase of the architectural design. If September is a construction site of your soul's reality, this is where you pick up the tools and start laying the bricks, not based on outside timelines, not because someone said go, but because your soul already moved and your body is now catching up. This theme is crucial because it animates the entire design. It brings momentum through speed. It brings momentum. Sorry about that. Let me just say this the right way. It brings momentum not through speed, but through resonant decisiveness. So it brings momentum not through speed, but through resonant decisiveness. It clears the delay field that many have been sitting in, not out of laziness, but because the scaffolding wasn't fully stable yet. So now that the structure is holding, this theme supports you in trusting what's already been encoded. You're not fabricating something out of thin air. You're expressing what your soul already chose, and you're doing it without the usual spiritual buffer time. No more looping, waiting, or cushioning the impact. This is movement with clarity. This is action with integrity. This is forward motion that doesn't bypass your body, it includes it. So, this month, then, you're not here to hesitate. You're not here to ask for more proof or second guess your own resonance. You're here to act not recklessly, but precisely, not reactively, but devotionally, tethered to your soul's already established light truth. Let your movement be clean. Let your body be included. Let your reality take shape, not because you forced it, but because you finally let it begin. This is soul tethered action, embodiment without delay, and your life is ready for it. All right, theme number 4. The architecture of choice, how you decide is what you become. This theme is all about the inner mechanics of decision making and the deep light truth that your choices aren't just about what you do. They're about what kind of being you're agreeing to become. In the old world, we often saw choices as isolated moments. Do I go left or right? Take the job or not? Speak or stay quiet? But this month, choice is no longer just an action, it is an architectural imprint. Every choice you make sends a structural ripple into your field. It reinforces a design. It strengthens or weakens your energetic scaffolding. It shapes the very geometry of your life experience. So, when the guides say how you decide is what you become, what's being talked about is about the frequency underneath the decisions. So are you choosing out of fear or alignment? Are you choosing based on urgency or resonance? Are you choosing because you think you should or because your soul already moved? This theme asks you to slow down and look inside the engine room of your decision-making process. Not just what you're choosing, but who you are becoming through the way you're choosing. So, not just what you're choosing, but who are you becoming through the way you're choosing? You could say it's not just the yes or the no that matters, it's the frequency behind it that sets your trajectory. Because the energetic signature of the choice gets woven into your field. It becomes part of your architecture, and you will walk inside the architecture, whether it was built on truth or distortion. So this month, each decision is not just a step forward. It is a building block, a pillar, a foundation stone. And when those are made from clarity, integrity, and soul tethering, your entire structure holds. But when those decisions are rushed, bypassed, or made from the outside in, they create weak spots in the blueprint. They wobble, they drain, and eventually they have to be dismantled. So this theme invites conscious pause, not indecision, not freezing, but clarity in the moment of alignment. Because this month, the way you choose is your becoming. So then with that, then here's an example. Let's say you've been feeling the pull to leave a job. You've been in it for a while. It pays the bills. It looks good on paper. It once felt aligned, but now every time you sit at your desk, your chest tightens, your energy sinks, your creativity feels trapped, and you keep thinking, something in me is finished here. So you sit with the choice, not just should I leave, but how are you approaching the moment of decision? You could make the choice from urgency, storm out, write a dramatic email, slam the door shut to prove something. That would imprint your field with reactivity. It would build future structures based on adrenaline and escape. You could also delay the choice by fear, telling yourself it's not the right time. Over research options, stay put while quietly unraveling inside. This would wire the pattern of self abandonment. Your system would start building around distrust and contraction. Or you could pause, breathe, drop into the part of you that already knows the answer, not the part that's scared, but the part that's clear. And you could say, this is complete. I honor what it gave me. I trust the next path is already forming. And I choose to meet it from alignment, not panic. Now you're building. Now your field is imprinting a soul tethered choice, one rooted in self trust, one encoded with clarity, one that sets the tone for future decisions made in coherence. And that, my friends, that's architecture. That's soul architecture. Because you didn't just leave the job, you chose the way you move through endings. You chose the tone of your next beginning. And that's, my friends, that's what creates stability in your system. That's what allows your soul design to actually take shape in your life without the wobble, without the override. This is what we mean when we say how you decide is what you become. That's what the guides mean. How you decide is what you become. You're not just making a choice, you're laying the blueprint you'll walk on next. So, with that, then, how this connects to the overall theme. So, in September, in the September arc of soul architecture, this theme number 4, is like a load bearing beam, invisible at first glance, but absolutely essential to the structure you're building. Because while other themes may focus on clarity, energy coherence, forward movement, or sensitivity to timing, theme number 4 is about the actual construction protocol. The moment when thought becomes movement. Have you ever thought about that? The moment when thought becomes movement? So the moment when thought becomes movement, when potential becomes pattern, when possibility becomes your lived reality because of how you choose to meet it. It's not about the outcome. It's about the frequency of your decision-making posture. That's right, decision-making posture. What is your decision-making posture like? So this theme refines how your inner architect responds when faced with a crossroad, not just once, but every single day. Do you decide from urgency or from presence? Do you rush to fix discomfort or pause to feel what's real? Do you look for external proof or let your own resonance be the permission? These micro decisions are the frame of your soul-led life. And this theme is where you reclaim authority over your response pattern, not by force, but by awareness, by noticing. What happens in your body when you feel a yes? What does fear trying to hijack when you're on the verge of change? What agreements are you still unconsciously building around? So every yes and every no is an architectural line in your field. Each one vibrates with its own code, its own tone, its own scaffolding for what comes next. So this theme says you don't have to rush forward, but you do have to be present with how you move, because every decision you make this month is contributing to a long range harmonic blueprint. And if you don't like what you're standing in now, trace it back, not to just what you chose, but how you chose it. The frequency of your choice is what becomes your lived vibration. Right, y'all? All right. So this month, you're not being asked to be perfect. You're being asked to be clear, to recognize that choice is not a transaction. It is a transmission. Every time you choose from soul, not from fear, not from mimicry, not from urgency, you reinforce the architecture of your becoming. You're not waiting for a map. You are the map. And every choice you make draws the next line. The future is not something you walk into. It is something you build with every soul tethered yes and integrity led no. And this month, you're laying down a foundation you can finally live inside. All right. Theme number 5 is repatterning reality, creating daily life through light line integrity. So, what if the way reality forms around you isn't random, isn't chaotic, and isn't about effort, but is actually a direct mirror of the integrity of your energetic signal? This theme is about realizing that your life, what unfolds in your body, your schedule, your relationships, your finances, is not just shaped by intention or desire, but by the consistency of your light line, not your thoughts, not your hustle, but the vibrational scaffolding that broadcasts what you're actually available for. So, in the humaning aspect of it, the light line is like your soul's frequency filament, your energetic broadcast tower that transmits your living frequency into the field of form. You're always sending a signal, even when you're silent, even when you're unsure, even when you think you're not doing anything. The light truth is, your life can't help but organize around your frequency. So this month, the realization moves out of spiritual realm and into the daily. This is not about holding your frequency while you meditate and then collapsing into old patterns when you text your landlord, answer emails, scroll social media, or try to make a decision under pressure. This theme asks, what signal are you sending without realizing it? What signal are you sending without realizing it? What unconscious permission slips are broadcasting from your field even as your mouth says no more? What unconscious permission slips are broadcasting from your field even as your mouth says no more? What old architecture built from fear, loyalty, avoidance, or mimicry, or performance, or urgency are still allowing to shape your now? So, what old architecture built from fear, loyalty, anxiety, avoidance, mimicry, urgency, performance are still allowing to shape your now? I'll also say, too, like one of the things the guys have said, people can also get into, patterns of talking about like things where, I have anxiety or I'm overwhelmed, but it could actually be they're so used to being in a pattern of it. It can be a pattern of like mimicry of it instead of being like, wait, what's really going on here and doing investigation. So, with that, then, in regard to this theme, repatterning is not about fixing, it is about reattuning. So, repatterning is not about fixing, it is about reattuning. It means asking, what if I stop pushing and simply became the frequency of what I want to live? What if I stop pushing and simply become the frequency of what I want to live? What if my relationship to time, money, rest, and relationships could reorganize through a clearer harmonic? So, this is where energetic congruence becomes practical, not just a vibe you carry, but a way you choose, respond, organize, and stabilize. So, this month, light line work isn't just esoteric, it's foundational. And so, with that, then theme 5 is where you begin to live your way into a more precise, coherent, and trustworthy signal. Because when your frequency stops wobbling, so does your field. I'll also say, though, in regard to this, you know, in terms of your tone in regard to earth, there might be things with earth in terms of contracts where sometimes earth may not be able to hear your tone because of various contracts that were made, or there might be a clearing that need to be had too. So if you feel like, wait, why is I feel like I'm not being heard, you might need a clearing in terms of an energy clearing. And that's where I definitely recommend learning dowsing or doing, working with an energy practitioner to see if there's anything that needs to be cleared or brought in. Because we are multidimensional, there might be things from present life, past life, ancestry, or anything with earth or terms of your soul job, etc., etc. So that's where these themes invite us also to greater curiosity of like what's really happening here. Is there any other information I need to know? Okay, so let's talk about, though, in terms of theme 5, repatterning reality, creating a daily life through light line integrity. Let's bring it to an example. So there's a lot of work examples for this moment. Let's imagine you're sitting at your desk, looking at your calendar, and you've just told yourself this month would be different. I'm claiming more space. I'm only doing what's aligned. I'm letting my body lead. You even wrote it in your journal. I release overcommitment and I call in soul anchored flow. But then an email comes in and someone wants to pick your brain, and another person asks for a favor you've said yes to 3 times before. A client reschedules last minute. You hesitate, you start to reply, and right there, before you even hit send, your light line is broadcasting. Not just the words you're typing, but the energetic code behind your action, the subtle tremor of, I don't want to lose the connection, or I don't want to disappoint, or what if I say no and they don't come back? Now, multiply that by a week of small actions like delaying your walk again to answer just one more email, squeezing a session into a day you said was protected or your day off, holding space for someone else's confusion instead of honoring your own clarity, or trying to stay high frequency while still choosing from fear. None of these are inherently wrong, but when these small patterns become your norm, your field gets scrambled because your life can only organize around what your lifeline confirms as true. This is where repatterning begins, not with declarations, but with embodied rewiring. That's where, the guides brought in a 3-part formula in terms of a new intention setting process that we've been doing since June in the Meditate with Me, and then also just in the Inspiring You Patreon, where it's about this process. But that's where the repatterning process begins, not with declarations, but with embodied rewiring. It can sound like, no, thank you, I'm not available for that. I'm still integrating. Let me circle back next week. I'm releasing this obligation. I reclaim my center. I'm allowed to shift my rhythm without guilt. Every time you say these things with energetic congruence, you clear distortion and you reinforce coherence and you repattern the field. And from there, yes, reality follows because the universe is not responding to your words, it's responding to the light line behind them. So that's where then, repatterning the reality comes in, creating daily life through light line integrity. So how this connects overall to the September theme, soul architecture and motion. So if September is the month where soul design becomes structure, then theme 5 is where you rewire the walls. This is the daily renovation, the integrity check, the subtle yet powerful process of aligning each action with your truest energetic blueprint. So this theme holds the functional mechanics of embodiment, not just dreaming the life you want, but living it moment by moment through micro choices that match your soul frequency, not just saying you're in a new chapter, but actually holding the signal long enough for reality to reconfigure around it. Not just visualizing change, but formatting your light line to support the change through every interaction, choice, and rhythm you live. Where the other themes shape the architecture of identity, alignment, and direction, theme 5 fine tunes the wiring of your daily reality. Think of it like this. If the house you're building is your soul's home in the world, then this is where you run the final checks. Does the electricity flow cleanly? Are the switches responding to your command? Are you powering up from source or old programming? Every choice you make in the subtle, what you allow, delay, reply to show up for or override, either affirms the clarity of your field or broadcasts distortion you then have to clean up later. This is why this theme matters. This is why coherence becomes felt. This is where the life you say you want becomes the life you actually live. So, reality is not waiting to be created. It is already responding to you, to your tone, to your signal, to your unspoken agreements. Repatterning is not a performance, it is a reclamation of authorship. You are the light line, you are the signal, and now your life becomes the proof. Okay, so now we're going to move into theme number 6. Frequency forged boundaries, holding form without contraction. This theme, and by the way, this is theme 6 of theme 9. We are getting there. We're getting close to the end. So, theme number 6, frequency forged boundaries, holding form without contraction. This theme speaks directly to the way you hold energetic shape, not through defense, withdrawal, or protection, but through clear vibrational presence. Most of us were taught to think of boundaries as something we must build against the world: walls, shields, lines in the sand. But in the higher frequency living, especially in this new soul architecture, boundaries aren't barriers, they're broadcasts. Boundaries in this context are the natural byproduct of your clarified tone. They are not something you impose, they are something you become. They are not reactive, they are inherently resonant. So when your field is attuned to your soul frequency, it emits a signature tone that naturally communicates. This is the range I operate within. This is the light truth I live by. This is how energy flows with me. And when that tone is stable, you don't have to constantly enforce boundaries with words, force, or withdrawal because the field itself is doing the work. This is the essence of frequency forged boundaries. They're shaped not by fear or past trauma, but by attuned self awareness and energetic alignment. You don't shrink, harden, or contract to hold them. Instead, you allow your soul coherence to lead. These boundaries are living, breathing structures. They flex as your field grows, they clarify as your embodiment deepens, they protect without isolating, and they guide others into right relation with you without explanation. In this new era of soul directed embodiment, the most powerful boundaries are forged in frequency, not force. They are how your field says yes to life without abandoning itself. So, this is not about pushing energy out, it is about becoming so inwardly anchored that the outer field adjusts. You no longer need to contract to feel safe. You simply resonate light truth and let the resonance organize your reality. So here's an example of theme 6, frequency forged boundaries, holding form without contraction. So let's take a human example, our human example that may feel familiar. Okay, so you're at a family gathering. Someone begins making subtle, possibly passive aggressive comments about your life choices, your spiritual path, your work, your sensitivity. And in the past, you might have gone quiet and internalized it, tried to explain yourself to gain understanding, gotten angry or reactive and lashed back, left the room to preserve your peace, but felt unsettled afterward. Each of those responses comes from the field contraction, shrinking, hardening, or energetically scattering to navigate discomfort. They are survival based boundary attempts, understandable but energetically draining. Now imagine this scenario again, but from the lens of frequency forged boundaries. Before you even walk into the gathering, you've anchored your light line, attuned your field, and stabilized your tone. You've become the signal of your soul. You're not armored, you're centered. And when the comment comes, your field doesn't flinch or absorb it. You feel it, register it, and let it move around you, not into you. Maybe you simply met it with stillness, or you respond calmly without over explaining, or you redirect the conversation with grace, or you walk away not from reaction but from clarity. But here's the key: you didn't shrink, you didn't disconnect, you didn't get pulled into distortion. You held form, not through defense, but through resonance, light in physical form. And this is what it looks like to live in frequency forged boundaries. Your energy becomes the architecture of your presence, Others feel it, even if they don't consciously understand it. And because you're stable, the field around you recalibrates or it reveals what no longer fits. You're not using boundaries to push others away. You're allowing your coherence to decide what belongs. That is the evolution of boundary work in soul aligned embodiment. Okay, so how this connects then to the overall theme. So this is theme number 6, frequency forged boundaries, holding form without contraction, connecting to the overall theme. And so the overarching movement of the cycle is stabilization through soul signal, the embodiment of clarity without delay, distortion, or fragmentation. And this theme, theme 6, shows us exactly what must happen internally to allow the stabilization to take root in real time. So to hold form without contraction means to walk forward in soul tethered embodiment without collapsing inward, without flaring outward, and without dispersing frequency in order to stay safe. It is a call to remain structurally aligned in both clarity and presence, not as a reaction to life, but as a transmission of light truth through it. You cannot embody light truth if your field is leaking. You cannot build soul infrastructure if your boundaries collapse at the edges. You cannot create forward in clarity if every interaction drags your signal off course. And this is where theme 6 becomes crucial. Throughout this cycle, you've been asked to listen to your soul, act from inside out, decide in alignment, and repattern reality through the light line integrity. But none of that can stabilize if your boundaries are still based in fear, defense, or old emotional survival structures. This theme is the hinge point that determines whether your embodiment stays intact as life accelerates, whether you hold your harmonic form without defaulting to contraction. It is what allows you to live the energy you've chosen without constantly re-explaining, re-justifying, or resizing yourself for external systems. It is not about withdrawal or rigidity. It is about being so attuned to your own field that you can stay open without leaking, clear without collapse, present without losing signal. This is soul maturity in motion, and this is the current phase of becoming. It's what allows the rest of the themes to actualize, not as ideas, but as embodied structures. So, in terms of integration of theme number 6, let this be the moment where your energetic boundaries arise not from fear, but from frequency. Let your field become the form that holds you even when the world around you is unsteady. Let your clarity be a kindness and your containment a blessing. Let others meet you where you are, not where you've shrunk to meet them. You do not need to contract to belong. You do not need to harden to be clear. You do not need to leak light to prove your love. You are allowed to be whole. You are allowed to stay intact, and you're allowed to walk forward without bending. Your field is your message, your form is your frequency, and your soul knows how to hold you fully without ever closing your heart. So, with that, that leads us to theme number 7, soul-led systems, replacing survival frameworks with resonant infrastructure. Okay, y'all. So to walk forward in regard to embodiment, your outer life must eventually catch up to your inner clarity. You can't just shift your vibration and expect the structures of your life, your work, your time, your relationship, your finances, your rhythms to organize themselves around your soul. You must re-architect them from the inside out. So, this theme is about replacing the scaffolding of survival with the infrastructure of resonance. It asks, what still runs on urgency, fear, pressure, or past conditioning? So, what still runs on urgency, fear, pressure, or past conditioning? What systems in your daily life reflect who you used to be rather than who you've become? So, what systems in your daily life reflect who you used to be rather than who you've become? Where are you still performing functionality inside frameworks that were built to keep you afloat but are no longer aligned with your soul. Survival systems aren't just emergency responses, they're habits, structures, auto responses. They're inherited ways of being passed down through families, cultures, trauma. They're grooves so worn into the nervous system that even when your soul says, "We're safe now," your life might be still running on fight, flight, efficiency instead of resonant alignment. Here are some examples of survival based systems, including working to prove your worth, overscheduling to avoid stillness, saying yes because you're afraid of being left out or left behind, making decisions based on stability over your soul, using productivity to self soothe, outsourcing safety to people, money, or external validation. This theme doesn't shame these patterns, it recognizes them as ingenious scaffolding you once built to stay afloat in a world that didn't feel safe. But it also names this moment. You're not just here to cope better, you're here to build differently, to let your soul, not your past, dictate the architecture of your systems. This means examining how you set up your days, make decisions, support your body, engage your work, hold your time, share your energy, and receive support. My friends, you're invited to build new scaffolding from resonance, not just tear down what no longer works. And that requires conscious attention, energetic alignment, and a deep willingness to no longer lead with urgency. Because urgency and soul embodiment are incompatible. This is the theme where you begin to live your vibrational truth, not only in the moments of clarity or meditation, but through the structure that holds your actual life. I've heard often people talking about the years they've been meditating. I have a long meditation practice of like 10, 15, 20 years. What good is having a long meditation practice if it never moves into full embodiment off the meditation per se mat? If you're meditating for 10 minutes or an hour, whatever it is, or you have a mantra that you're doing every day or twice a day, but then all the times in between, you're just in urgency. There isn't embodiment. And that's why this theme, or all these themes we've been talking about, it's about where you live your vibrational truth, not only in moments of clarity or meditation. If you're not living more of your vibrational truth out of meditation, that's something that you want to look at in terms of your systems or your practice. So that's where then this theme, where you begin to live your vibrational truth, not only in the moments of clarity and meditation, but through the structures that hold your actual life. This is where clarity gets coded into form. Clarity gets coded into form. All right, let's look at it. Let's do an example. Let's do an example of let's do an example of a person, and this person is intuitive, heart-centered, and they've been doing deep inner work for years. This person is no stranger to transformation. They have released old belief systems, shifted relationships, and cultivated a strong connection to soul and the guides. Yet their daily life has not caught up. 14, 15-hour days in a high responsibility job that no longer aligns with their values. This person is constantly multitasking, skipping meals, working through exhaustion. And when asked why they stay, This person says, it's secure. I don't want to start over. I wouldn't know how to replace the income. And even though this person's inner guidance has been whispering, it's time to leave. It's time to be complete with this. It's time to go. This person is afraid. So this person creates clever justifications. I'm not ready. Maybe next year. I can do both for a while. But the light truth of all of this person is still functioning within a survival framework, one that tells this person that safety lives in a paycheck, not in not in this person's frequency. One that says, prove your worth first, then you'll be supported. And this person's soul isn't judging them. It is inviting this person into a new conversation. By the way, this example could have been me many years ago when I was working in television. So it's inviting this person into a new conversation. What would it look like to structure life based on resonance, not fear? So for this person, that begins not with quitting the job overnight, but with acknowledging the fear and repatterning their infrastructure one step at a time. They start setting time boundaries around work, even if that means not responding to every email. They begin to track what drains versus what restores their energy, recognizing where they are overriding their body. They practice anchoring safety in their frequency, not their job title. They carve out time each morning to listen to their soul's rhythm, and that lets them inform the day, not the calendar. They bring their nervous system into partnership with their higher knowing. And as this person realigns, their system recalibrates. And with that, then, new pathways open, their relationship with money softens, support flows in unexpected ways. And over time, they build a new internal and external structure, one that holds them without burnout, without distortion, and without betraying their soul. This is soul-led systems in action. It's not about perfection or spiritual bypass. It's not about that. It's about making the invisible resonance of your soul visible in how you live, organize, and move through your day. It is about replacing fear-based scaffolding with infrastructure that reflects your actual frequency, not your conditioned survival instincts. And if you have patterns though from ancestors or maybe past lives or cultural, that's something then with energy work, especially with dowsing, you can look at to see if anything needs to be cleared and anything to be recalibrated or called in. But with this then, over time, in regard to your actual frequency, not your conditioned survival instincts, this over time becomes your embodied way of being, not just what you know, but what you live. So then how this theme number 7, soul-led systems replacing survival frameworks with resonant infrastructure, how this connects to the overall theme. This theme is a key architectural anchor in the overall energetic blueprint of this month. At this stage in our becoming, we're not simply healing the past, we're building the future. But what we build must be able to hold the frequency we now carry. And this means the systems we live inside, routines, relationships, calendars, workflows, priorities, resource flows must reflect the soul, not the wound. The overarching theme of this month is not just about awakening or clearing. It is about choosing to live differently, moment by moment, choice by choice. And this theme asks, can you create a life that is structured by resonance rather than reaction? Can you allow soul to become the architect, not just the voice in meditation? So this is not only personal, it is collective. We are witnessing the crumbling at this time of global systems that were built to extract, exploit, overextend, and deplete. And we're being invited to repattern those same systems within ourselves The healing of burnout is not just about rest. It is about no longer living in a way that requires self-abandonment to survive. So take time with those questions. Can you create a life that is structured by resonance rather than reaction? Can you allow soul to become the architect, not just the voice in meditation? And just know when we begin replacing survival frameworks with resonant infrastructures, we stop outsourcing safety to old paradigms. We become the builders of our own frequency field, not just responders to outer chaos. And this is what it means to reconstruct life through soul's architecture, not just in theory, in lived daily reality. With that, friends, just know that it may be uncomfortable, it may feel slow, but it is precise, it is encoded, and it is real. And as each of us reclaims the structures of our lives as soul built, we begin to hold the resonance of a world that sustains light truth, honors coherence, and anchors light in our inner structure, and one inner structure at a time. And that's really how we start to shift from old earth to new earth, per se. All right. So, and just know that wherever you are, you're not behind. You're simply being restructured. You're simply being restructured to hold more of who you truly are. Let each new choice become a beam in your soul's infrastructure. Let your life hold the light you already carry, and trust this. You are no longer here to survive. You're here to build what only your soul can see. Okay. Theme number 8, y'all. We have theme 8 and theme 9, and then we're going to do the dowsing. And also feel free though to take pauses in between. You do not have to listen to this all at once. You can come back to it. And also with the dowsing, it is the same thing. All right, theme number 8. Embodied transmission, becoming the lived expression of inner alignment. So this theme marks a threshold where we stop trying to live in alignment and begin becoming the light transmission of it. So let's just share it in another way. So many spiritual practices focus on the inward experience, feeling peace in meditation, touching light truth in journaling, receiving clarity and vision. But if that internal alignment stays locked inside of you, if it doesn't shape your posture, your tone, your timing, your presence, your priorities, then it becomes a beautiful frequency that never gets to land. Take a moment to process that, y'all. So, embodied light transmission means who you are being is the light transmission. It's not what you say, it's not even what you do, it's how you exist, how you breathe in a room when no one is watching, how you handle a delay, a confrontation, a miscommunication, how you speak your light truth without needing to be right, how you walk through the grocery store or sit at a family dinner or exit a job or relationship. It's the field you hold, not the performance you give. I'm going to repeat that. It's the field you hold, not the performance you give. And this field isn't constructed in the mind. It's forged in moments of choice, moments where the nervous system wants to go into old patterns, possibly shrink, people please, over explain, react, but you pause. You listen to the light truth in. You listen to that light truth within. You regulate your frequency and you respond from inner alignment. That is what builds the embodied light transmission. And this light transmission is not static, it evolves with you. It will change as your alignment deepens. It will refine as your system becomes more coherent. It will strengthen the more you trust it without needing validation from outside yourself. You do not need to be more aligned. You need to honor what alignment already lives in you and live from that place. Even if it's subtle, even if it's quiet, even if it's different than what others expect or even what you expect. You're not here to present your soul. You're here to be it. So you're not here to present your soul. You're here to be your soul. light in physical form. All right, so here's an example of this theme. Number 8, embodied transmission, becoming the lived expression of inner alignment. So let's just ground this through a lived moment, possibly an example. You've been cultivating inner alignment for months, working with your breath, attuning your nervous system, listening more deeply to your light truth. You feel clearer, more connected, but now life gives you the invitation to live it. You're in a conversation with someone you care about. They say something that once would have made you freeze, retreat, or immediately try to smooth it over. Your body tightens. The old survival impulse starts to activate. Keep the peace. Don't cause waves. Stay likable. But you pause. You notice your breath. You notice your feet. You tune into your light truth, not the reaction, but the deeper knowing. And from that stillness, you speak not perfectly, but cleanly. I hear what you're saying. And I also feel something different inside me. Can I share what's true for me right now? The room changes. You didn't dominate. You didn't shrink. You simply brought the vibration of alignment into form. That is embodied transmission. Not quoting a teacher, not following a script, but letting your system express what your soul already knows. And later, when you reflect, not with judgment, but with curiosity, you notice, wow, I didn't abandon myself that time. I didn't collapse into silence or inflate to protect. I just stood in the center of my resonance. I stood in the center of my own resonance. And that, my friends, that's the daily mastery this theme points to. It's not flashy, it's not public, but it repatterns your timeline with every breath. You become the field of coherence once you've reached. You become the field of coherence you once reached for. You stop broadcasting and start radiating naturally, quietly, unshakably. And over time, people feel it. Not because you told them who you are, but because your presence carries the clarity of someone who remembers. All right, so this theme then connects to the overall theme. Theme number 8, embodied transmission, becoming the lived expression of inner alignment. This connects to the overall theme by this theme is one of the most, and this theme is one of the most essential integrators for the entire September light transmission, for the entire September energy forecast. It's where all the inner work becomes visible, not through effort, but through energetic embodiment. While the earlier themes in this field taught us to dismantle survival frameworks, theme number 7, restore integrity to our light lines, theme number 5, hold boundaries forged from frequency rather than fear, theme number 6, this theme reveals what happens when we start to live from the synthesis of those alignments. Embodied transmission is the quiet crescendo of your inner coherence. So embodied transmission is the quiet crescendo of your inner coherence. The overall theme of this month is about soul architecture in motion, and this is where the motion becomes lived. Your alignment is no longer a private practice. It becomes your tone, your posture, your way of being. You no longer think of embodiment as something to achieve, but as something you allow. You carry your light truth in your tone. You carry your frequency in your presence. You no longer outsource validation because you've built resonance from within, and this creates trust. Not in the outer timeline, but in your own inner construction. And the people around you may not always understand it, but they'll feel it. They'll feel your groundedness. They'll feel your steadiness. They'll feel your choice to live inside the integrity you've built. And it will help them remember their own. This is not about performance. It is about frequency stability. It is about natural light transmission that flows when you're no longer trying to be anything other than what you already are. And that, my friends, is the living prayer of this month. Not to prove your soul, but to be it, to be your soul, to walk through your days, not broadcasting a message, but radiating your light frequency, radiating your frequency to let your life become the light transmission of your becoming. So, with that, my friends, here is a light transmission from Oversoul Sahariel before we get to theme 9. You do not need to project to be powerful. You do not need to speak to be known. You do not need to perform to be aligned. The structure is within you now. The living frequency of your soul speaks through the way you move, pause, breathe, choose, and respond. Let the world meet that version of you now. The one who remembers, the one who embodies, the one who transmits, not to teach, but to become. Let the field adjust to your alignment. Let your form hold your frequency. Let your life speak without force. You are the message. You are the field. You are already becoming. So that's the end of that message. And with that, we go to theme number 9, my friends, the final theme in this. Theme number 9, the harmonic foundation, building what can actually hold you. So there comes a moment after the clearing, the recalibration, the alignment, the choosing, when you realize you cannot keep living inside structures that do not support who you've become. And this theme speaks to that moment. It's about recognizing that your internal upgrade, your energy field, your nervous system, your values, your soul frequency requires a new external container. One that doesn't just conceptually support you, but functionally and energetically holds you. You are no longer available for scaffolding built from hustle, self sacrifice, or over responsibility and outdated roles. These were survival structures. They were never meant to last, only to get you through. But now you are not just surviving, you're stabilizing a new octave of existence. That means your calendar has to reflect your nervous system's capacity. Your relationships have to be chosen from resonance, not obligation. Your environment has to nourish your field, not drain it. Your systems, money, time, energy, care must now match your integrity. You are no longer meant to hold everything together. You are meant to be held by structures that honor your soul signal. That doesn't mean everything has to be perfect. It means the foundation beneath your life must now come into resonance with your light truth. It means saying, I will not keep building on top of what's broken. I'm going to repeat that. It means saying, I will not keep building on top of what's broken. I will pause. I will listen. I will clear. I will restructure. I will build what can actually hold me. Because, my friends, that is what harmonic foundation requires. Not more effort, but more light truth. And this is the moment then, this is the threshold moment where your external reality begins to match your internal alignment. And it's not about manifestation, it is about integrity. It is about frequency matching your life to your soul's architecture. That means building your home, your schedule, your systems, your support structures on what is actually sustainable, on what actually feels good, on what actually supports your nervous system, on what actually holds your frequency. This is not a luxury, it is a requirement, because you cannot anchor 5D consciousness into 3D dysfunction. I'm going to say that again. You cannot anchor 5D consciousness into 3D dysfunction. The harmonic foundation asks you to become radically honest about what you've outgrown and courageous enough to begin again with structures that honor the version of you that is here now. And this is the base frequency of coherence. Not flashy, not dramatic, not performative, but solid, stable, whole. You're not meant to build from urgency anymore. You are meant to build from resonance. So here is an example of theme number 9, harmonic foundation, building what can actually hold you. Let's say you, let's say you're someone who's been doing deep inner work over the past few years. You've cleared ancestral patterns of overgiving, released the urgency to prove your worth, realigned your nervous system to safety and stillness. You've reconnected with your soul truth. You felt a deeper rhythm starting to move through your body, and you've begun to hear it. But then you look at your life, and your calendar is still double booked with obligations you don't want to carry. Your income is still structured around output, not alignment. Your sleep is broken, not because you're anxious, but because the scaffolding around your life hasn't caught up with who you've become. You're spiritually regulated, but logistically unsupported. And this is where the fracture shows up, not because something is wrong with you, but because your energetic field has updated and your life hasn't. So, what does building a harmonic foundation look like here? It looks like canceling the monthly commitment that once lit you up, but now leaves you depleted. Rearranging your work schedule to honor your natural energy rhythms, not just business hours. Creating a financial container that reflects your soul's way of giving, not an inherited model of exhaustion for payment. Asking for support in new ways that respect your current integrity, not past versions of you. It means rebuilding the base structure of your life, not around what used to hold you, but what can hold you now. And y'all, this isn't always easy. There may be grief, there may be fear, there may be doubt when you release old ways of doing before the new form has fully arrived. But building a harmonic foundation is about trusting that your soul's resonance creates stability more effectively than your personality's control. Going to say that once more. Building a harmonic foundation is about trusting that your soul's resonance creates stability more effectively than your personality's control. Mm-hmm. Whoo-wee. Mm-hmm. The gods are bringing it this month. So this theme reminds you you're not weak for needing better systems. You're not failing if the scaffolding of your old life no longer fits. You're becoming someone whose life reflects their light. And that means the foundation must be rebuilt intentionally, patiently, and in full alignment. So let's look at how theme 9, the harmonic foundation, building what can actually hold you, connects to the overall theme. This theme arises as the final anchoring point for September, not because it is an end point, but because it reflects a quiet beginning of a new stability, one that isn't built from force, identity, scaffolding, or survival strategies, but from resonance, clarity, and harmonic attunement. Throughout September, we've moved through layers of remembering, releasing, repatterning, reorganizing. We've questioned the timelines we've been living inside. We've rebuilt from the soul, not from fear. And now we've begun to inhabit a life of coherence, not through external proof, but inner recognition. Inner recognition, my friends. So, theme nine is the necessary ground that allows all this movement to take form. It's the space where the energetic shifts we've made becomes the bones of our reality. And because without structure, we collapse. Without resonance, we fracture. But with a harmonic foundation, we can hold our becoming without reverting to the past to feel safe. This is how we stabilize new timelines, not by willing them into place through control, but by building lives that are structured around the signal of soul. In this way, theme 9 connects directly to the overall September energy, soul architecture in motion, building the form that mirrors the frequency. This is the month where soul moves from being an inner compass to becoming the blueprint of our outer reality. And that requires a foundation that's not just spiritual, it's functional, embodied, and lived. You're not being asked to build from scratch. You're being asked to build from resonance, not for perfection, but for integrity, for coherence, for a life that holds you the way your soul intended. So you're not behind, you're building, you're not unraveling, you're realigning, you're not lost, you're landing into the light truth of what can actually hold you now. Let your life catch up to your light. Let your foundation become the form your soul can rest inside. This is the harmonic infrastructure of your becoming. You are the form, you are the resonance, you are the home. So here's a light transmission from the unified Oversoul stream, from Oversoul stream of Sahariel, Soul Aligned Higher Self Aurelia, and the Collective Guidance Light team. Beloved light walkers of the new earth, you're no longer here to carry the scaffolding of survival. You are here to become the resonance that builds the foundation. You came here to weave a field that does not fracture under pressure, a life that does not distort your frequency to be sustained. You came here to anchor systems not inherited from the old grid, but streamed directly from the harmonic memory of your soul's design. You're no longer meant to shapeshift to hold what was never made for you. You're now being asked to shape reality through coherence. Let your inner integrity become your outer architecture. Let your lived frequency become the grid you walk upon. Let your breath carry the rhythm of a timeline that does not collapse. Every time you pause to regulate, to feel, to recalibrate instead of push, you are replacing survival with sovereignty. Every time you stay present in discomfort, you're teaching your field how to become a vessel for true power. Every time you move with the light line of your oversoul instead of against it, you're restoring the organic pulse of the Christed earth within you. You're not holding it all together. You are dissolving what never did. You're not failing to keep up. You're finally aligning with what moves you forward. Let the false scaffolds fall. Let the slow rhythms rise. Let your soul infrastructure build itself through your yes. You're becoming the form that holds the frequency. You are the foundation you've been searching for. You are the system that restores the signal of light. You're not here to fit in. You're here to reformat reality through your embodiment of source. You're not here to survive. You're here to build the world your soul remembers. The guides are now sharing. We hold you now inside the crystalline chamber of harmonic remembrance. Your soul is the blueprint. Your body is the builder. Your presence is the permission. This timeline in clarity, anchor this field in coherence, build only what can hold the light you carry. That's the end of the message. So with that, my friends, we are coming to the completion of the September 2025 energy forecast. Thank you for joining me. As always, I will say though, we are going to be doing the dowsing. So anybody who is in the all access for the Patreon, please stay tuned. But to everyone else, thank you for joining us for the September energy forecast. As always, may this guidance support you in living from soul clarity, grounded presence, and embodied light truth. And again, if you're listening to the public version of this offering, thank you so much for being here. May this light transmission support your stabilization structure, soul-led expression in the days and weeks forward. So for everyone else, stay on for the dowsing, stay settled, stay present. We're continuing in just a moment. Let your breath anchor you. Let your soul open. We're going to be moving into the next layer together. So with that, my friends, we are complete for now for this process. We're going to be moving into the full dowsing energy session. That portion exclusively available to the all access members on the Patreon and paid podcast subscribers. If your soul, your human, feels called to receiving that multidimensional support, clearing aligning, restoring your field and resonance with this month's harmonic blueprints. You're warmly invited to join us. You'll find the link to subscribe in the show notes. And to those listening to the public version, we're going to be complete for now. Until next time, may your foundations hold, your breath remain steady, your light continue to rise with clarity. Remember, you are the coherence, you are the recalibration, you are the resonance. Thank you for being here.